I'd like to warmly welcome Martin Atkins, please. It's began.
Fuckers.
Yeah. Oh, we're recording this, by the way.
Oh, so language alert?
No, language is fine. Okay, yeah, fine. Right, so I'm just going to go through a few little things with you. So I've got a little bit of a list here. So you were born in Coventry, Nuneaton.
Nuneaton. Same thing.
Same thing.
Not really.
And you now live in Chicago.
Yeah.
You've been described as many things: a musician, a lecturer, a label boss, author, merchandiser, and punk. Any others?
Father.
Father.
Shit DJ. I'm shit.
Right, okay.
I could ruin your sister's next wedding.
That'd be her third, so please don't.
Producer. Oh, that's it.
Okay.
Did you say drummer? Or did we say
no,
musician?
Musician.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, you've played with and been connected with an illustrious name of artists and bands from Pill, Revolting Cocks, Killing Joke, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, Murder Inc.
Yeah.
Pigface.
Yeah. Damage Manual. I'm an honorary cock. I'm not a revolting cock.
Oh, okay.
I'm an honorary cock. That's what it says on the record.
Does
Very
it?
proud.
Right.
Yeah.
An honorary cock
I'm not
from
an actual
Chicago.
cock.
Right, okay.
I'm just an honorary cock.
Great. That aside, what I want to start with, obviously, because of a room and because of who we've got, it would be odd to not sort of say that your first major experience or exposure, if you like, was with Lydon's Pill, his post-Sex Pistols band, and after an explosion of drummers, you were the seventh. Is that right?
So, yeah.
So I just want to sort of talk very briefly about how you joined a band. I read somewhere that you pestered the band to join. Is that kind of right or not?
Yeah. So I was up north in a band with Bobby, who's in the audience tonight, and we did really well up north, but we were up north, and I wanted to come to London for some auditions, and I came down. Didn't have any money. My dad arranged a ride for me, and I was just bumbling around London, auditioning with 4 or 5 bands. Ran out of money. Stayed with some. I was in a pub. I just said, look, can I stay with anybody tonight? I don't have any money. I think I was 17 or something. And I picked up Melody Maker on the Wednesday. I was waiting for my ride that night. You could get Melody Maker on a Wednesday in London, Thursday everywhere else. And I got to the back page and the ad said, drummer required for band with rather well-known singer. I thought, oh, that's John. You know, so I called the number. Hello, Virgin Records. I'm like, oh, it's fucking John. This is the thing after the Pistols. I'm like, yeah, I've been playing for years. This is it. I'm your drummer. And they're like, yeah, auditions are Friday. I'm like, well, I can't audition Friday. I'm going back up north. Can I do it this afternoon? And they're like, no, auditions are Friday. I'm like, yeah, but like, no. And I'm like, well, I've got to go. I've got to go back. And every mile that the moving truck, which my dad arranged this moving truck, the moving truck got closer back to Durham, where we were living then, I realised I'd made a mistake. And got back up north. I told Bobby and the guys in the band, I'm moving to London. And then Bobby and the guys in the band were like, yeah, we are too. We're sick of the north. And I got back down to London, and every time they fired a drummer, they set 2 drummers on fire. So it's like, oh yeah, I want that job. That could be me. That could be me on fire. And so I got to know the people at the label. Jeanette Lee, who's at Rough Trade now, she was the publicist. Jeanette's mum. Oh, Jeanette's not here. Oh, is it? I started talking to her mum. So everybody knew me, that northern git, basically. And so I guess they'd gone through 6 drummers, and I called at the right time. And Keith said, yeah, come on over to the townhouse, which I thought would be a rehearsal room for an audition. And I walked into the townhouse, and it was like a basketball court. You know, there's a drum kit further away than that back wall. There's the drums. You know, 2, 3, 4, we wrote Bad Baby.
All right.
And I didn't hear from them for a couple of weeks after that. Eventually, we did a show in Paris, and I was in the band for the first year that I was in the band before they fired me for the first of 3 times.
Right, so you got fired 3 times.
Yeah, definitely twice, possibly 3 times. They called me Pill's prodigal drummer.
Is that so? We're going to talk later on about you and mainly being an entrepreneur, if you
Yeah.
like that choice of a word. So is that kind of like a first thing of being an entrepreneur? That person who picked up the phone, did your research, did some bits and pieces, had that desperation, if you like, or wanted to go and do it. Is that sort of right?
Yeah, well, it's not, desperation isn't right. I think if when you're desperate, people smell it.
Okay.
You know, but when I auditioned for bands in the north of England, my dad would like go in to scope out the audition because I was probably 11 at the time, and he'd like look at the set list, write some stuff down, and we go and buy some albums. So I was prepared for my audition. So I guess he taught me that of just what, instead of being nervous, what can I do to be better prepared, to be less nervous.
Excellent. So Pill formed in '78. You joined in '79, and as we said, we contributed to Metal Box, which is there's the cover. Bizarre. And you played on Bad Baby, which is a great track. It's like a sort of Joy Division-y. Well, obviously they were afterwards, but really sort of prominent drums but a creepy keyboard. Don't know if anybody sort of is aware of a record, but it's odd. Keyboards sort of super strange. But without talking about the music, the album cover. Did you? I mean, obviously, when that cover came out or that box came out, massively influential. And so, really, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of that. Is it important? Was it important?
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I still fuck around with packaging now. You know, I just did a hand screened white vinyl 7-inch scratch and sniff blueberry single. I mean, you know, and this is still looked at as a yardstick
yeah.
for packaging and nothing to do with me. I just played drums on some stuff, and then sitting there like, oh, with the Metal Box, here we go. This was originally supposed to be sealed with the PIL logo sticky tape.
Right, round the.
Around there. And Richard Branson said, look, it's already cost a fucking fortune.
Did they ask for some money back from the advance of Pill, apparently, for that?
Probably, knowing what I know about labels, probably. But Richard made a mistake because, the way fans are, if it was sealed with Pill tape, the fans would have bought 2, one to play and one to keep. So by saving, the tape was made, I've got rolls, I repaired a car with PIL tape, we had so much of it. But the tape was already made, it was just going to cost like 3 pennies an album for the machine to do the thing. And he's just like, and then a bunch got damaged. Right, most albums don't get damaged in transit, but a truck crashed and a bunch got dented, and I think that was the last straw.
Right, bit of a short sight then on the.
Yeah, well, it's Richard Branson, you know. I mean, what has he done lately?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just sort of surfing with Obama and stuff. So that is number 45 in the top 100 artwork of Rolling Stone.
Really?
Album, yeah, and it's sandwiched between the Wailers and Roxy Music's Country Life album, which is a sort of Country Life album. Apart from the fact that there's 2 girls on the front in underwear, it's really not that much else. You know?
Yeah, what else does it have to be?
Exactly.
I think that's slightly bollocks because so it sounds like they're looking at album covers. Mm-hmm. This was a concept.
Yeah, this is it.
I mean, so one of my favourite stories was bunch of punks got into a fight, and the fight spilled out of the house onto the garden. Police, ambulances, and it was like in the Daily Mirror or something. Big punk fight, and they made a hash brownie in the lid of the album, and they were fighting over the piece in the middle with the PIL logo. I mean, so when great things happen when you do stuff, nothing happens when you don't. So you make your own stories. And then so I decided to recreate that. And people are on the internet, do not eat the cake. I'm like, do not eat the cake. This is not bakery certified aluminium. Like, oh, shut up, you know. But interesting things happen that you don't expect when you do cool stuff, you know. I'm not sure what amazing stuff happened with the cover of Country Life.
Well, no, I mean, there's a few things.
But there's the butter connection, right?
This is it. But who else was in there? So number 39 and number 40 was Elvis Presley and London Calling. And if you don't know, the London Calling is tight London Calling, and then there's the brilliant photograph Penny Smith, and the Elvis Presley cover is exactly the same type, almost, but with Elvis. With the guitar. It's brilliant. And they're right next door to one another. So it just shows that we couldn't put the Clash in and not Elvis Presley, because that would be a bit
inspired.
But I read that was going to be also, there was a bit of an idea about sandpaper. And Dorothy Column then went on, obviously, to do the sandpaper thing with
was that sandpaper facing outwards?
It was facing outwards, but there was talk of having it facing inwards. So it trashed the record.
So the album is perfect, but the act of so it's perfect when you buy it. If you remove it to play it, you destroy it. Brilliant. We should have actually done that with the Brian Brain album.
We'll move on to Brian Brain in a minute. Number 1 was Lonely Hearts Club, if you're interested. Yeah. Number 2 was Nevermind. And number 3, which I think they got the wrong way around, was the White Album. So we should have put that as number 1. There's nothing on that goddamn cover, and I think that would have been the sort of thing. But prior to Pill, you played in cover bands in the north of England. Yeah. So before moving to London and forming the Hots with Pete Jones?
Well, I didn't form the Hots. I joined the Hots, yeah.
And together with Brian Brain, you played one gig in Manchester at Rafters in the 1980s, I believe, which turned into Jillies.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, we were mad. We were mad back then. I had Prescription Speed off a doctor in Harley Street. We weren't mad crazy. I had Prescription Speed, so I could go to JFK Airport and to the cop. Like, what an idiot. I was basically an idiot. But like, as if my prescription would be, don't shoot me again. I've got a prescription. But yeah, we were crazy. I don't remember much of it. I remember that.
You remember that, and so you don't. So Rafters, obviously, Rafters was. I don't. If anybody knows, sort of Rafters, it turned into Jillies, but Rafters was sort of pretty big in the 80s and the 70s for punk, and then Joy Division played in there. Rob Gretton was a DJ in Rafters, and I think Depeche Mode recorded a couple of albums in there, so it was quite strange, and then it sort of turned into. But before Pill and before all that, so influences and the types of music. So Coventry would have been the Flies, the Specials, bits and pieces. So was that kind of it, or was it punk all the way from?
No. So I grew up listening to everything. I bought Uriah Heep, Black Sabbath, Paranoid, Led Zeppelin, Todd Rundgren, who I accidentally had dinner with a few years ago. All that, Billy Cobham, like all the technically proficient stuff before punk kind of exploded that. You know, and the bands we had, I was in a band with Bobby called The Mind, we were technically proficient, you know, and playing 7 shows a week, either as cover band or as The Mind. So influences were all of that. So when punk came along, it kind of, it was disturbing. Here's a chord, here's another, here's a third, start a band. It's like, well, no. Here's a chord, here's another, here's a diminished, here's a fifth. Rehearse for 5 years and then think about starting a band, is what we did, kind of. So punk was kind of threatening, but quickly absorbed it and moved to London and got involved in the excitement of it all.
So outside London, punk kind of
or
didn't exist, kind of thing.
It did, but I had drainpipe jeans. This is how crazy it was. I had drainpipe jeans instead of flared loons. And somebody in Durham would be like, hey, should we go outside and fight? You know, somebody said we were up in Durham with Pete Jones, and somebody said to him in this club, oh, you've got a London accent. Should we go outside and fight? It was just ridiculous, you know. So punk was scary. Somebody wrote punk rock on this chalkboard, a blackboard, in the rehearsal space. I remember walking in going, oh, there's punks. I mean, it was kind of this threatening thing, but also very exciting.
So after you finally pestered to join a band, and your final departure from Pill inspired FFF, is that right?
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Farewell, my fair weather friend. But
Which is slightly bollocks because
it's good to know my research is right.
farewell, my fair weather friend. Well, we had some really tough times when Pete was in New York. There was no money. I picked up the phone and called a club in Philadelphia. We didn't have rent to pay for the loft in New York. And I said, Pill wants to play there next Friday. We're booked 8 weeks out. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you are. But if you want Pill to play, it's next Friday. Oh, okay, well, let's look at the numbers. We need 10 grand. Well, our club only, I don't care about any of that. If you want Pill to play, it's next Friday for 10 grand. And we went down and did it and got some money. And so I started to get involved in the other side of it. So farewell, my fair weather friend is kind of fucked. You know? But drummers don't leave singers' bands.
Oh, okay.
So I can understand some animosity.
Because it's usually the other way around. I mean, why 6 drummers for Pill then? I mean, was it just a bad thing going on, or just drummers just didn't make it? I mean, you said obviously
They
caught
set
fire.
Carl Burns on fire. Richard Dudansky, I don't know. I mean, it was, I don't know. It was kind of a mad situation, which I don't know why it didn't particularly bother me. I felt like I was contributing.
So obviously, Spinal Tap, there is some sort of...
Well, towards the end, there was a little bit too much Spinal Tap. And then when I saw Pill, like 2 years after I left in New York, which is slightly a mistake, I had 2 tickets. This kid was outside. I'm like, hey, come and see Pill. I used to be the drummer or something. But he just sat next to me, freaked out. I was like, why did this guy give me a ticket? Which kind of ruined my experience. And I went backstage. I went to the dressing room. I'm like, hey, where's John? It's like, oh, he's in his dressing room. I'm like, oh, then you know the whole story then. It stopped being a band with 4 people who would each tell each other to fuck off to John hiring a band. And you lose that that really special truth to power situation that's essential in any band, I think. Otherwise, you're just, great riff. No, you're amazing. The lyrics are fantastic. It's better than the last. Fuck off.
So you learnt a lot from... So you weren't... So obviously after Pill then you formed... Was it Plaid Records?
No, Plaid was during. Plaid was during Pill.
And so you've taken everything from Pill, from presumably the tours, seeing everything, having a bit of an inkling about money, having an inkling about this, and thought, you know what, there's a record label, or were you always looking for that different future at that point?
Well, we were punks, so it seemed like, well, fuck the system. We were signed to Elektra Records, and you'd think, well, we're Pill, we've done this, we've done that. Virgin in the UK, we were on Warner Brothers, now we're signed to Elektra, now we can really do what we want. Except, slight hitch, Elektra was on hold releasing anything because they were waiting for the new Bon Jovi album to drop. And they were going to press 3 million copies or something. So we're sitting by a pool in Los Angeles waiting for John Bon Jovi to finish his lyrics. Didn't feel like we were very independent at all. So I wanted to start my own label and experiment and do that.
So that, and was that successful then, Plaid?
Oh, it was a catastrophe.
Right, okay.
So
Fair enough.
we
Short-lived then.
We pressed up like 2,000 copies of this album, did an exclusive deal with Green World Distribution. We shipped all the records to them, and 2 weeks later, now we're bankrupt.
Right.
Like, oh, well, can you send me all my records back? Oh, no, they're in receivership. Okay, then.
So who was on it then? Who was on Plaid then? Was it?
Brian Brain, we did a 4-song
Right, okay.
EP.
And so
Then
that was,
I eventually started Invisible Records. We put out 350 albums. I still have my label. Started in 1988. And I learned a lot more doing that.
so Invisible was... before Invisible, did you set up a construction company in New York?
That's after I left Pill. So I didn't just leave Pill, I left the music business.
Well, this is it. Did you have? Was there something that went? Do you know what? I can make some money somewhere, or do you know I've had enough of music?
No.
Music's just.
I got really sick in LA.
Had you moved to the States then at that point?
Yeah, I moved to the States in '81, I think, New York, and then me and John moved out to LA, which was a big mistake. And I thought, This Is Not a Love Song was a hit all over the world. Australia, we went to Japan for the second time, everywhere, Germany, everywhere. My least favourite song was the biggest hit. We were licensed to Miami Vice, which is a huge TV show in the 80s. They played the music really loud. It was really, Imagine, it was really cool. All the stuff was going on. I was sick. We had a house in LA with a swimming pool. I eventually realised...
Shared a house in LA, or
Yeah, John and I had a big house. I ended up getting a condo with the lighting guy from The Clash. And I got really sick. I'm like, oh, it turns out this isn't my idea of success. It's everybody else's idea of success. And so if this wasn't it for me, I quit. So I became an illegal alien in New Jersey. My work permit ran out, and I ended up building decks with an American guy and a French guy.
And so around '89, was Zip into Killing Joke came in. Shortly after you joined, is it right that Andy Rourke of the Smiths came as well? Was it you and Andy Rourke? Who lasted 3 days or something?
He lasted, yeah.
And he got fired.
It was me for a couple of months, and then we auditioned bass players. And Andy came in. He had some very well publicised problems, which he insisted were behind him, and they weren't. And so we were in this rehearsal room in London for a week, waiting for him to show up. We had a photo session, all the stuff. I remember calling his manager. I'm like, it's not happening. Andy's not well. We'll just send somebody over for his bass rig. I'm like, you fucking won't. I'm selling his bass rig. If there's any change after paying for this week's rehearsal and the photo session with him, I'll send you the money on. He's over in the States now.
He's there now. And then so the connection with the Smiths sort of almost continued. You and Johnny Marr are both honorary directors of Rock for Kids.
Are we?
Yeah. You're an honorary member, aren't you? And so's Marr, apparently.
Oh, that's interesting.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Wikipedia, but it might be complete bollocks.
No, it sounds... Rock for Kids is a great organisation. They auction and sell memorabilia to fans to raise money for getting music education into kids.
Is that because of the sort of political climate that money is starved for? There's a lot of kids in Chicago that don't have what a lot of people in Chicago do have.
Right.
And
so
it's a tough city.
The first stuff that goes out of public education is sports and music and art, that's the stuff that actually helps kids get through stuff. And there's all kinds of research like music helps math and all the rest of that stuff. So.
And so do you do things? Do you still involved on a
yeah
professional sort of capacity, bringing in bits and pieces?
Yeah.
So 1990, you formed Pigface. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day after I did the Cage tour with Ministry, and it's the day after the tour ended. I took everybody into the studio, and we formed Pigface.
Actually, before that, a friend of mine asked me that you've got some great stories about Jazz Coleman. If we go back to Killing Joke, but I think we might run out of time, apparently.
Yeah. Jazz was interesting. He's a super smart, very interesting guy. Once again, I left Killing Joke after Ministry and forming Pigface. I was in Ministry and had Pigface and was in Killing Joke at the same time. And I left Killing Joke. So we didn't get along until very recently.
Right, okay.
So it's nice. Paul Raven, our bass player, died. And when somebody that you made music with dies and you can't make music with them again, it certainly causes some reflection. And so I don't know if that happened with Jazz, or it certainly happened with me. I went to see them in Chicago, and we had a great laugh backstage. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so, Pigface is a collective of over 100 people.
About 400.
King Crimson.
Bill Rieflin,
Yeah.
Trent Reznor,
Nine Inch Nails.
yeah, Alkeizes, the bass player from Swans, Flea from the Chili Peppers, Danny Carey from Tool. He came out with us for 10 days. Beef, the bass player from Gwar, Michael Girard from the Swans, Leslie Rankine from Silverfish and Ruby. I mean, it's ridiculous. Mary Biker from Gay Bikers and Apollo 440.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got a thing about that. Mary Biker.
Okay.
So, Invisible. I mean, a lot of those artists are on Invisible, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So you what, nearly 400 albums and so on and so forth later. So that I've got a pass, which obviously is from.
Yeah.
I think you're wearing it. It says,
Wearing it.
Pigface
Total
World Tour
Wanker.
1991. Total Wanker. After show only, which is great. Which is sums up hopefully maybe some of the sort of bits and pieces. What was the why Total Wanker?
Well, so ever since punk, you question the roles of everybody, like a journalist in their review, or everybody's role in everything. You do a great show and a journalist will say, well, this was shit. Everybody thinks it was shit, but if you were there, it was a sold-out crazy show. So we just wanted to have some fun. And the passes for years were like, I'm a journalist and I support my cocaine habit by selling promotional copies of the albums you send to me. And I thought, people, I'm not wearing that. Every journalist did, you know. So we were just having fun.
That's actually
switching up everything.
That came from a journalist, which is absolutely
Total
brilliant.
wanker.
So
Yes,
yeah,
it's me. Can I get in? Yes, you can.
And I've got yeah. Well, I've got that journalist who actually sent me this. He's
God.
no. It's not that bad actually. And I
He's
think
reviewing your book right now.
no, it's
and
not. No.
shit.
He works for. He was at Melody Maker, and he used to do. Now he's at some oil rig weekly in Norway. He used to be at the Guardian, and he did some bits and pieces. But he just said actually, if you want to talk about anything, just talk about the DIY ethic.
Yeah.
And then I think that's his sort of lasting
Well-
memory, if you like. Is like the DIY ethic. Speak to him and he'll talk for ages. You know?
Well, we did everything. So, you know, did this, I wasn't involved in this, but it influenced the shit out of me. And I guess being involved with punk or John, which wasn't necessarily punk when it was Pill, we would just, whatever, it felt right to start a label. And because I had a label, I started a studio. And I'd spent my life in studios, really nice studios, and I don't know why I thought I could be an engineer, but I bought Steve Albini's 8-track machine, his 1/4-inch tape machine, and he set everything up for me. And he left, his guy wired everything up. And I called him, I'm like, you fucking sold me a lemon. Nothing's working. And I can't do a Steve Albini voice, it's like your granddad. Well, do you have patch cables? What's a fucking patch cable? It's like, well, that's how you connect the tracks to the. Any audio people here laughing
There's
at me?
probably tons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how much is a fucking patch cable? It's like, well, they're $20 each. I'm like, well, I'm just giving you all my money. So he said, well, he lent me 8 patch cables so I could listen to 2 tracks at a time. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just did it. And that's the. Did I think I could start a great label? No, but I knew I couldn't fuck things up any worse than major labels had fucked things up on my behalf. So, and that's tremendously liberating, you know. Did I think I could teach? Nah. Taught by accident? Could I write a book? I don't know. You know, so you just do stuff and things happen. I have my own merchandise company. My studio's still up and running. I went to China, recorded some stuff there. It's all just... you don't wait for permission, you just do it. And the people who are with you at the beginning will forgive you any of the bullshit mistakes you make because you're kind of all making them together. You're not saying, this is amazing, what do you think? You're saying, fuck, what about, help? You know, and that's a very different approach than trying to present yourself as being new and sparkling and awesome.
We were chatting before about getting stuff done, and we were talking about film, and about how now you can literally just get a mobile, make a film, get together. This morning we had like a little bit of a networking event, which hopefully weaves people together. So I'm doing this, and I need that, and I'm doing, that. Or well, I'd love to do that. Is it easier now? Do you think? Should be theoretically easier now to just get on with it. Don't talk about it. Just literally just get on and do it. Get yourself a mobile phone, film something, a boutique video. You can get it on YouTube, you can get it out on social, and you can make a noise much easier, even though people think it's a lot harder in a weird kind of way. Do you think it's sort of easier or not?
It's really easy once you stop. If you just want to do something quick and put it up. So I can do something very quick, throw it up. I used to carry a video camera and load it into my laptop, post stuff, all the time, very quickly. If you're trying to go through film school and shoot a documentary, you get pulled into that. Somebody said the right camera for the job is the one you have with you. And that's huge. Just get on and do it. You could do anything you want. But I think one of the hardest things to do, as we all hypnotized by our devices, if any of you guys are shy, I'm shy as fuck, which is difficult, might be difficult to understand as I go around the world speaking and being in situations like this. But you have to work on that stuff and look up from your device and talk to some people in a room who are shitting their pants just the same as you are, and you make that connection. And the people in this room, if you're SSR students, these are the people who you come up with. And I see that all the time. Emily White came to the school in Chicago, and she managed Amanda Palmer, Dresden Dolls. She's done all this amazing stuff, and she still sits across from the guy she sat across when she went to Dartmouth College in Massachusetts, which I actually think that's a little bit sad. But you take the point. So the people you're coming up with, you have these exchanges with, are the people you'll stay connected to if you want.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of that's. I mean, again, what I've read is you can be a good drummer. You don't need to be a brilliant drummer. You can be a good engineer. You don't. Oh, sorry, I should have chosen a guitarist or something. But, so it's more about the stuff around it than it is actually the stuff of sort of.
You can't be shit.
No. But you can be proficient, and then
you got to be good. Loads of people can be good. It's trying to be 10% better that will cost you 3 times as much time that you could be spending on social media skills, vehicular maintenance, meeting people, screen printing. You'll be much more useful to a band if you can shred social media, print shirts, and maintain a vehicle than if you're just a slightly better drummer. You'll be like the guy who gets the job. Yeah. And the amazing drummer will be like, oh, fuck. Beaten again by that asshole. Back to the drums. I'll get better and better. Let those people do that.
Which I think is after this is you're going to do a talk, which essentially, and I think we're probably around about half an hour. So I've got one little thing, which is a this is your life moment, which I've sort of threatened. But you probably won't remember, so it'll be really embarrassing for me. But a couple of messages. Is my recollection of Martin was intelligent, funny, and a holder of a scary amount of energy. And in San Francisco, me and Neil were doing Pigface for Melody Maker. I think that's where Neil's pass is from, which is that.
Okay.
Our friend Bill Gould, Faith No More, had come to the show. Chris Connolly was screaming "Fire, fire" on stage. Of part of, do you know the story? And the backdrop did actually catch fire. I think there was some lysergic diethylamide involved somewhere down the line, and the crowd were watching mesmerised, and they thought it was all part of the set. Yeah. Until someone finally realised it was actually a real fire on the stage, and the road crew put it out. And you were right at the front. And the message that I've got is that it's a really scary moment. And then the next meeting was in your warehouse in Chicago, the Murder Inc. Mm-hmm. And Martin would hit the drums so hard. And when him and Paul Ferguson played together, it was an intense noise, so loud that it hurt your ears. And Cat the Kitchen. Kitchen the Cat. Do you have a cat called Kitchen?
Breakfast the Cat.
Breakfast. Right. And you have one called Spoon.
No, Spoon was Chris Connolly's cat. Breakfast was our cat. And so the first Pigface EP was called Spoon Breakfast. And people thought, heroin. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, well, it's fucking Spoon Breakfast. No, it's just two cats. Sometimes you let people go with it.
Go with
But
stuff. And breakfast used to jump on you from a great height.
Breakfast was huge.
Yeah, big cat.
Breakfast was huge. Yeah, but San Francisco was crazy. We played 2 nights at that place.
Yeah.
And the first night I went to settle. And they're like, they did some kind of, ooh, yeah, look here, it says you'll be responsible for the sound system, which is going to cost you this amount of money. Therefore, here's your $40. I'm like, there's fucking 15 of us. This isn't, no, nice try. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go and play the I-Beam, which is 8 blocks away. You can sit here and give everybody who comes to the show tomorrow a refund. We're going to honour their tickets, but not take them at the I-Beam. We're going to play for free from the I-Beam. You're not going to fuck with us again. And we wandered around with flyers that said victory, which is actually we lost thousands of dollars. But a good way to deal with that was to have flyers printed up that said victory.
So that's our little connection.
Wow.
And we'll have a chat later, see if you remember that little connection.
Is that Neil?
Neil Perry.
Neil Perry.
Mary Scanlon?
Yeah, I
Do you
know
remember Mary
Mary
Scanlon?
Scanlon, the photographer.
Yeah, she's my wife.
Are you kidding?
No.
Fuck.
There.
fuck's sake.
I told you there was a connection somewhere down the
Oh
line.
my God.
So Mary Scanlon's my wife.
She was a
big melody maker photographer.
So anytime we did stuff with Music for Nations, she's got some great pictures of me with clothes pegs in my hair,
Yeah.
wearing my Chicago Exit leather jacket.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then hence the Faith No More connections, Kiss,
Yeah.
loads of people she photographed. So her and Neil and her sister Anne Scanlon,
Okay.
she was the Pogues biographer and stuff, and she used to write for them. So there was this kind of thing. And so,
And my
yeah.
friend Peter Doherty.
And Mary Biker. She's,
Yeah.
so.
Oh yeah, that's that whole. So
Mary,
you know how
yeah.
Mary Biker got into Pigface?
He said, by the way, he sent Mary a message saying something along the lines of a last gig, as in, yeah, we don't ever do last gigs. It was like this sort of, and it was awesome.
Well, it was the last gig, but then it was so much fun. I emailed everybody that bought a ticket. Said, "Do I have your permission to think about doing this again?" They all wrote like 5-page emails back what Pigface meant to them. It was super cool. But Paul Raven saw Mary in a bar in London, and he said, "Pigface, here's 500 quid. Get on a plane. Let's go." And Mary was just like, "What?" And spent the money. But then
Sounds like Mary,
the
you owe me.
next tour, well, it sounds like Raven. The next tour, Mary came out, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, she's a great photographer, and I think that the sort of the stories and the difference then is that it was there was that kind of travel. It was okay, to go. I mean, Anne, her sister, spent. I think she sort of toured Mexico with Joe Strummer. I think she just that was it. And the label or Enemy back then they'd pay for it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's
Or
interesting.
go listen to the Black Grape album on some island somewhere, and everybody mysteriously really liked it. But wow, please tell Mary I said hello.
I will do. Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. She's going to come. She was going to come, but we've got this little guy here who's a sort of rock star in the making, so she kind of can't.
Wow.
But there you go. But I'm really glad that you remembered Mary.
Wow. Please tell her I said hello.
I will do.
Mary Scanlon.
Mary Scanlon, indeed. Of course,
Shit.
I've taken her surname now. She's not that.